You're now listening to the Pitchside Peregrines podcast, your home for all things Athletic Club Boise.
All right, everybody. Before we get into today's episode, quick shout out to KJO Insurance, the first sponsor of the Pitchside Peregrines podcast. Look, insurance premiums suck, but your coverage doesn't have to. They know Idaho and the Pacific Northwest, and they'll actually find you a deal that makes sense. DM them on Instagram at KJO Insurance with Pitchside, or call 208-883-4800 and tell them Kyle and Elias sent you. All right, let's talk some AC Boise.
Welcome into the match prediction part of today's episode. We were really looking forward to giving our thoughts and our opinions on where we think this match is going. I know Kyle and I maybe see this game ending slightly different in two different ways. I think both ending in the same result, but we are, excited to give our thoughts. Kyle, what do you think?
We want to start with our lineup predictions or score predictions first.
We can do whatever you want, Kyle.
Let's step into the first kind of not controversial, but the Endema talk has started. The Endema talk has started. You know, he was the hero in our first game, and the last two games have unfortunately been rough for him, for sure. So, I see a lot of people saying you have to pull him, give Javier a chance, give Jonathan a chance.
I don't think I'm there yet.
Don't know. I can't bring myself to be there yet either. I think two more games. Give him I don't know why I have five in my head, but I feel like you have to give him again, it's his first year in professional football. He's straight out of college. I just think you can't, especially after a game where it's like, now if he has a bad game, but it's just a game where he doesn't make like a glaring mistake and he has like two just unimpressive games in a row and it's just like, okay, this isn't really working. But if he has games where it's just like he has two mistakes he's probably not going to make again. Probably the mistake he made last game he's going to make again in his career. That's a mistake I've seen plenty of goalies make. And again, I'm sorry we so often just compare players to, but we're going to make the comparisons between the teams that we know. You know Leeds, I know Everton. He reminds me so much of Jordan Pickford from 5 years ago. It's not even funny. Like Jordan Pickford 5 years ago would make some incredible athletic saves. And it's funny because I think they're the same size. Joseph and Jordan Pickford are both like 6 foot flat. Jordan Pickford, I think, screams a lot more than Joseph Van Damme does, and like kind of his head blows up a little bit. Joseph seems like a very calm, cool, and collected person, kind of much more quiet. But when it comes to play style, they seem very similar. Other than Jordan Pickford just absolutely boots the ball into Rosie every other chance that he can get. But when it comes to like playing, making saves and the mistakes. Jordan Pickford, 5 years ago was making mistakes left, right, and center. And Everton fans were like, get rid of this guy. And now he's arguably the best performing goalkeeper in the Premier League. Like you can make the mistake for Raya, but it's Jordan Pickford's right there. And it proves the Everton fans right who were saying we cannot drop this guy. You can see the upside. You can see the upside. He's athletic. He makes these incredible saves that no other keeper is going to make in the league, despite him being, I think, Courtois back in like the last World Cup said he had like squirrel arms or something. But I'm not saying Joseph Andema has squirrel arms. But no, I think you gotta stick with him for a few more games because if you bench him now, his confidence is gone forever. Like it's like we will never see him start a game for Boise again.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to mention in both maybe a hockey goalie or a soccer goalkeeper. They need to be playing with confidence. They need to know that the manager has their back and that the team, no matter what mess ups happen, that your defense trusts you in goal. And the second that there's any glimpse of skepticism or they're not playing with confidence, A, we can tell, and B, they're gonna be damaged goods for until they can kind of get out of that headspace. And the fastest way to get someone into that headspace is benching them 3 games into a match or 4 games into a season, or on the 4th game of the season. So I am all for keeping Endema in goal. Obviously, Nate Miller saw something in him to give him the starting job. So yes, it's been back-to-back games with the goof, the Philip bouncing the ball off a foot. Yes, you shouldn't be doing that, but that's maybe more forgivable than what happened in last match, where it was blatantly him passing the ball to a Spokane Velocity defender or player, which led to an easy tap-in goal. So,
which I did watch the video back at a better angle. He came really close to saving
yeah,
that.
he went the
Like
right way.
he closed that down. He closed down that angle so fast. Like his athleticism and his like ability to just know when to close space is really impressive to really like, and when he commits, he commits. Like it's kind of like in the first game with that header where Dangler kind of got mad at him. It's like also what else was he supposed to do?
Yeah.
But I mean, when he said I'm closing down this guy, I mean he came really close, which would have been one of the best like save your own skin, just like make
Hmm.
up for a mistake ever. So I yeah, give him another game or two, and then if Elias, if we do bench Joseph, who do you think comes in, Javier or Jonathan?
Maybe I think we disagree on this because I think we talked about it in the post match, but I would say Javier is who I would want to see. Yes, maybe we see him just as a penalty saving specialist, but just seeing them both in person, I maybe like Javier's build a little bit more. Maybe, yeah, he just has USL experience versus going to maybe another not fully proven talent that is Jonathan, who's coming from college as well. But that's maybe just my bias of having a player who has spent time on the bench with the USL Championship team, with a player who was the starting goalie for a USL one team last year, who had atrocious defensive ratings and was trying to save 7+ shots on goal a game last
Yeah,
year.
he wasn't getting much help.
No, he was not. He was getting bombarded. So to have maybe a stronger defensive core in the back three that we do have, I would say Javier is the more safe pick, let's call it
Mm.
potentially. Jonathan maybe again would be an upside pick, but I think if you're gonna have anyone be the upside pick, it would be keeping Joseph and Dema in goal and letting him grow through these growing pains and figuring it out and gaining confidence through these mistakes.
That's fair. I think that's completely fair. And yeah, Jonathan is just going to be another unknown at this point. While Javier is a little bit more of a known factor. And so yeah, but I do still lean towards keeping Endema in the starting lineup. But
Yeah.
we can we can move on to a couple of lock-ins.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I would say is I would maybe love to see Javier or Jonathan in the Lights, Las Vegas Lights Cup game.
Mm,
Just give them a chance in a cup match
yeah.
where it's not the season, it's an away game, it's your first game against USL Championship side. And for those cup games, I think that's less of a, oh, and demo, we're benching you. It's more, hey, we're giving you a break for what is to come a very busy May for Athletic Club Boise. So that's the only
I've
caveat I
I've
would say.
I've always been okay with the cup keeper. Like,
Yeah.
like you see now, if it was the Open Cup, like if it was the Lamar Hunt Trophy,
Yeah. If it's an
I
elimination
maybe would.
game, I
I
wouldn't.
think I would want to see us maintain that better. Like obviously, the MLS team is going to rotate their lineup.
Hmm.
We're playing up. We're playing up against teams that are likely at a higher level than us. I would want to see us play our best 11. But the USL Cup where it's not as high stakes immediately. Like maybe if we qualify out of the group, then yeah, maybe let's bring in the best 11 if we
Yeah.
qualify out of the group. But during the group stages, rotate the lineup because at the end of the day, winning USL League One is the most important thing, not the
US
USL
Cup.
Cup. Yeah.
Totally. But yeah, you mentioned lock-ins. I think I thought the back three was lock-ins, but given how last game went, I would say two of the back three are lock-ins with Jake Dengler and Jake Kroll. I think they've kind of gotten their central and left defensive backs, center back roles on lock. I think the big question is it going to be Ricketts or Musa off the right? And maybe they might be playing off a platoon where Musa gets the first 60, and then when Charlie needs to get subbed out, they kind of do that shift again where Musa becomes your defensive midfielder, Philip Mayaka becomes your true box to box midfielder, and Ricketts kind of plays that right center back, but almost an inverted right center back who makes a
Yeah,
lot of runs.
bombing up and down for sure.
Uh, I I can't read Nate Miller's mind. I haven't talked to him at all, so I can't tell you with confidence which way it's going to be. Um, so I guess I will leave it as a either of them could potentially start. Do you have any opinions one way or the other on how they
I
played?
no, 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 no. No, I think you did a great job at kind of given the options that we have. I would love to see. I don't know what the situation is with Benny and Yao. We haven't
Mm,
seen him yet this season. I would love to see him get into a game and just kind of show what he can do and give Jake a rest for a little bit. I'm not saying start Benny and Yao, but I think he is left-footed, so he would slot in. He would play where Jacob Kroll does. So, but it would be nice to, maybe give him 15, 20 minutes at the end of the game, even if we're ahead, if we're behind, just get some or for Jake Dengler, who knows, maybe that's where Hayden Sargis can step in. Maybe Sargis can, but it seems like we have a lot of these like center back, traditional fullback hybrids, like
hmm
Jacob Kroll, like Jonathan Ricketts. These guys are hybrid center backs where they're wide center backs and they can cover a lot of ground. And we have like one true center back. So where Benny and Yao can slot in, where Hayden Sargis can. So I know Sargis, I think in the game against Sarasota, did he go to right wing back or was he at right center back? I think
He
he went
came
to right
off for
center back.
Ricketts, so it was Ricketts off, him on, so right center
Yeah,
back. Yeah.
right center back. So it would be interesting to see um,
Yeah,
that.
and
But no,
one thing on Hayden Sargis, I don't know if we've mentioned this or if you've noticed, but he wasn't included in the player roster or the player poster.
mhm.
We did reach out to him directly, and he did say that he still is with the team. I don't know what his role looks like at the moment, but he is still employed by Athletic Club Boise. So for any of
And
you who,
posted some pictures to prove it today.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
so
Maybe
he's
that
still
was in
there.
response. Maybe that was in response to you directly, Elias.
Yeah, I think they
Mm.
probably saw that we were reaching out and said we need to make sure he's alive. But it was just weird to see that he wasn't posted in the defensive core. It was Jake, Jonathan, Benny, and no Hayden and Musa. So it was just we were curious, and so it was like, hey, you've played in a game with us. But yeah, I would be definitely interested to see Benin get some time. He needs to make the bench first, which to me is potentially, I know at least for the fan fest, I don't think he played at all. Him and Toomey were just kind of running around the
Yeah,
stadium the entire
they were
time.
doing laps. Yeah.
So again, he's not been on our injury reports that we've received from the team. So we'll just kind of stand pat and let you know as we find out. But I definitely would like to see maybe again for a cup match, Benin and Hayden potentially get some starts and some miles under their tires.
Yeah.
As
But to close very quickly,
yeah,
I I think Jonathan Ricketts should start this
hmm
game. I think it was not, and I get it now. We have a selection kind of dilemma on our hands because Musa hasn't done anything wrong. He has done nothing to deserve to be dropped. Neither has Jonathan Ricketts. So it could come down to just strategic. Who do we want to see,
hmm
depending on the opponent? I don't. Yeah, it's really, and you want to rotate players, and I think we talked about this in our post game reaction. But I would lean towards starting Jonathan Ricketts and trying to find a place for Musa to slot in because I do think maybe this is one where Musa doesn't start and he's the first guy to come off the bench
hmm
in either midfield or at center back. Um, Again, they are both players who should play every single game. I think right now I do prefer Ricketts' profile, but again, I do want to see a player like Musa in each game, and so it's our first like really big selection dilemma.
yeah,
So, and
I
it's a good
think
problem to have. It's a good problem to have for sure.
it's a great problem to have, but I feel like it's the wrong area of the field to have that problem. Where I
Yeah,
think we've
center
mentioned where
back.
it's
Yeah,
like the back three core of any team for a back three, you kind of want those three to know each other very well. And obviously, the Jakes have kind of solidified themselves as starters, and maybe they get a bunch of action and a bunch of work in with both Musa and Jonathan to build that relationship no matter what. I know Leeds, again, works with four different players and kind of in a rotating fashion in their back three. So it's not something I'm not used to. But again, you want your defensive back three to be very in line with one another, understand everyone's interests. I think maybe from the games we've seen, which was one game at Musa starting there, he's maybe more of a defensive minded right center back, while maybe Jonathan adds a little bit more lethality and scoring touch and making those aggressive runs like we've seen against Omaha and in the back end against Spokane. And maybe that's why he didn't start, is that come the 60th minute when they do this kind of realignment, they get tired legs from the opposition to let Jonathan be a little bit more free, be able to make those runs and have,
And run at people. Yeah.
yeah,
Let him
versus
let
at
him
the
run
start of
it.
the game.
Let him run at tired legs. Yeah.
Exactly. Midfield wise, I see it being unchanged with Toomey, Phillip, Nick Moon, Blake Bodley, and Charlie Adams. I don't see why they would change that out, barring
Just a
injuries.
full unchanged kind of midfield five.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think the front two, I think we're just still kind of figuring it out. I don't think anyone has deserved to be benched and not be in the starting 11. But I would say Luan is definitely on a tighter leash. I know we've talked over and over again about like he needs to get more service, but I think it's also getting to a point where he needs to put himself in spaces to receive service. And at
Hmm.
times, I think he just gets lost, not lost, but just like isn't in the right place at the right time or isn't opening himself up for a pass and is relying purely on Nick Moon, Charlie Adams, Toomey, or Blake to whip in across where he's
Yeah.
it's not at him or in a place where he can easily take it. I feel like his player ratings have just not been there. Besides his penalties, which he's missed one and made one, starting to
Hmm.
maybe see if a Hansen or if a Thomas Amang could slot in. I think our biggest issue is there's not a bunch of height in our forward group to take advantage of all these crosses that we're getting in, where I think Dennis is under 6 foot. Thomas is, I think, under 6 foot or right at 6 foot. Uh, Brito probably is right around that 6'1". So um, that would be, I think it goes unchanged today, but I think it is maybe being communicated. Hey, like we need to maybe see some more production, and maybe that's just down to game plan, and it's not uh, a prospering system for a striker to take full advantage of in kind of these whipping crosses,
Mm,
where if he's not scoring goals, he's not really seen. But just
yeah.
my opinion on the
And it's
situation.
maybe I wonder if like a change in tactics in the front two, because essentially on paper we look like a front two, but watching the game and just kind of seeing average positions, it's not really front two, it's an attacking midfield two of Toomey or Dennis with whoever the second striker playing with Luan has been, whether that's Omar, whether that's Dennis. When Dennis is starting in that attacking midfield role, that they are dropping deeper where the attacking midfielder is, and they're trying to like help link play. So would it be something to where but then you're sacrificing. So do you just play, hey, we're playing Toomey and Dennis in an attacking midfield too, even on paper, and then Luan kind of is that, the the point of the spear, and he's
Yeah.
a solo striker and trying to like kind of drag the team along. Or do we play a Johansson or a Thomas Amang with Luan to try and really spread those defensives thin and cause and keep them both forward rather than having one drop deeper, keep them
Mm-hmm.
both as far forward as possible. We may have a little bit harder time linking play to them, but on those balls into the box, we have more of a presence there. And then maybe Luan, maybe that's how he finds his space, is that there's
Mm-hmm.
another guy who's taking attention away from him.
Yeah.
Um, and vice versa. And maybe that's the one dragging players away from Thomas or from Joe. So I wonder, that'll be interesting to see because so far we have played with a true number nine and a more of a false nine next to them. So what if we played with two true number nines and just see what that looks like? So
Yeah.
that could be interesting. So I think I agree with you. I think it's unchanged. It's going to be Blake Bodley, Mayaka, Adams, Moon, and Toomey.
Hmm.
And again, Dennis hasn't really done anything to warrant being dropped
Hmm.
um, near as Toomey. But obviously, if we don't start scoring more goals, even though their performances may not have been that bad, the results don't at the end of the day, it's about winning. It's about scoring goals and winning. So do we start messing with things and saying, hey, sure, you may not have done anything wrong, but you're also not doing too many things right
Hmm.
either. Like you're still just coming in at 6.5 and sevens. Well, guess what? 6.5 and sevens don't win games. They draw games or they
Hmm.
lose. We need someone who's going to put in an eight every now and then, an 8.5 performance. So that could look interesting. And maybe it ends up being, hey, sorry, Luan, we're going to bring in Thomas or Joe to partner with Dennis or to partner with Omar.
Hmm.
Um, and Omar
Yeah.
is just such a wild card. Like his skill set is so different from everyone's, where he's just it kind of he feels like his profile fits more like Toomey. Him and Toomey kind of seem like I'm sure when Toomey was Omar's age, they were like the exact same player. I think in the write-up, actually in the write-up that I sent to in two Tumbleweed Times, I mentioned that I think Musa and Charlie probably were similar-ish players when Charlie was a little bit younger too, where you could tell, I mean, Charlie hits a wonderful delivery from a set piece, and I'm sure Musa could do that as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Just one's
they
more vertically gifted than the other.
Yes, and I think 8 or 9 years younger.
Yeah.
Um, but when it comes to just play style, they seem pretty similar. So, with all that being said, I think it will more than likely be Luan and Dennis starting,
Yeah.
if I
It's
had
what
to
we know.
guess.
It's maybe not the safer pick, but it's just what Coach Miller
I
thought
think it
was
is a
the
bit of a safer pick. I think it is a bit of a safer pick, I think.
yeah.
But
I think my biggest area to watch is hopefully set pieces. I think with Charlie Adams in the starting lineup, assuming he did seem very comfortable taking all of our set pieces, all of our corners. Being the 5'7", 5'8" person he is, it doesn't do him a bunch of help
I
to
think
be
he's
in the
five. I
box.
think he's 5'6".
I wanted to round up. Um, as a fellow short king, I always want to give them the extra inch or two. But that seems to be the person we want. So I'm keeping my
Yeah.
eyes peeled for set pieces this game, and it may influence my score prediction and my first goal scorer if we want to move right along into that. My final score for today's game is going to be 3-1. Just given all that we talked about how AV Alta has been outperforming the record, I don't see a world where a clean sheet is happening today. Just given maybe it's going to be pressure from different avenues from AV Alta compared to other teams that we've played. And I do see Charlie Adams getting the first goal of the game. I'll say it off a set piece, a Sobo Sly type set piece or something of the like, just some kind of worldy to start the game off right. But Kyle, where do you see this game going?
I am. We we have played well despite giving up 3 goals against Spokane. Um, there you could just point out certain moments, and I feel like other than Endema's moment against a good Spokane team, like we didn't give up anything defensively.
Mm-mm.
We didn't give up anything. So I think AV Alta is going to be a bit of a different profile than we've seen so far this season when it comes to how their attack operates. And they may have more of the ball, or they may just be, hitting passes around that we just aren't closing down as much. And they don't have as many guys dribbling. So we're not going to be able to press them as well. So tactically, this game could look a lot different, but I'm still going to go with 2-0. I think we're going to have a resurgence in defense, and Endema's going to have some redemptive qualities and moments in this game to help bring his confidence back up, coming back into our next home game on the 18th. So I'm gonna say 2-0. It's Man, I feel like I'm either gonna get this perfectly right or I'm just gonna be so wrong. I don't know why I have a weird feeling about my own prediction, but I'm sticking with it, and I'm gonna go Dennis for the first goal
Come
scorer, and
on.
I think it's gonna be one of the Blake Bodley specials or Nick Moon or whoever, but it's gonna be one of those crosses where it's kind of a deeper cross that kind of low cross where just like how he scored against Sarasota and he just kind of taps it in,
Yep.
or it could be a cutback. I'm kind of thinking like he plays, they get to the byline or to the touch line, and one of the wingbacks like cuts it, or Toomey cuts it back to him as he's kind of box crashing, arriving late. Um, yeah, I'll go with Dennis.
2-0.
We've been skunked the last 2 weeks on
It's
our
going to
score
happen. There's
lines.
slow points in the season, and we're
So
just here.
we yeah, we keep predicting wins. That's or draws and we
Yeah,
lose. So we feels like that's the
we're
curse.
due.
We're like a step behind. It's like, oh, we predicted a draw and we lost. Oh, so well, if we predict a win, then we'll draw. So it feels like one of
Hey,
those.
we're,
No,
we're
I
due.
yeah,
Gamblers keep gambling, so we're just going to keep guessing.
degenerates just keep being
Come
degenerates.
on, gotta make money for this family somehow. Gotta lose before you win. But no, all jokes aside, I'm really excited for this match. I think it'll be a great game to see what Athletic Club Boise has to offer, and maybe playing not the best team in the USL compared to a Spokane or a Union Omaha. One last thing I'd love to see is more play in the center of the pitch. I know Caesar, one of the people who sit near us in the near our season tickets, mentioned that like lack of threat in the center of the pitch, and I think Toomey at times tries to bring that in, but I just feel like more play in the middle attacking area, always having that threat of someone launching a kick, launching a shot from outside the box versus your scoring chance from a tight
We
from the corner kick is going to be slim to none on a whipping cross versus, oh, I could lay this off to Luan, or I could just try and score a worldie top bins from out here. So
our
um
I will agree with you that our attack the first 3 games and with Caesar, we have fallen into a pretty one-dimensional
yeah.
attacking patterns where and we're gonna either progress from out wide, even from the defensive third and through the midfield. We're gonna build up out wide every single time, or we're going to rely on Philip to just dribble through a couple people.
Hmm.
And then as we get into the attacking third, then we'll hit it outside.
Yeah.
And whoever is maintaining the width, whether it's Blake or Jacob Cruel or Nick Moon or Jonathan Ricketts, Musa doesn't do that. As when he plays right center back, he doesn't quite, like, he is a different profile almost completely to Jonathan when it comes to how they attack. Um, so maybe if we are becoming too over reliant on this style of just everything going through the wings, maybe that is where Musa steps in and tries to build up more through the midfield with shorter passes, and or just line breaking passes going straight to me from the defense or straight to Luan from the defense. So that could be interesting to see. But we're a little one dimensional at the moment. And I hope we can become a more fluid team and more open to change in that way, because otherwise we're going to become way too predictable.
Yeah, adding more opportunities and more ways to score goals makes it harder for the defense to defend, where there's always a risk of someone not crossing it in, but cutting back and trying to create a off-angle chance, or just shooting it through traffic and letting the ball disappear. As a goalie in indoor soccer, it's always the hardest thing to track a ball through traffic. So I know firsthand that it is not fun, and that's
Have you
where I've
had a
missed.
game this week?
We do have a game on Friday, but I
Mm.
unfortunately cannot play. So my
Oh,
protege is in net playing against Chris and the River Guard
oh
team, the
no.
Advil Avengers. So best of
That
luck
is
to
a
them.
phenomenal name.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's all for today's episode. We really look forward to Saturday night and what is to come. Leave some comments down in the comment section below about your thoughts, score predictions, anything else that you feel is on your mind and want to get off your chest. We really appreciate you all supporting us and subscribing and liking and all the like. So, with that, I think that is Kyle and Elias signing off for today's pre-match presser. That's all for today's episode. If you enjoy the show, make sure to like, comment, share with a friend, and make sure you're following the show wherever you listen. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube for all updates and future content to come. If you want to help support the pod and get access to exclusive content, early episodes, and bonus perks, head over and check out our Patreon. It truly helps us keep this thing growing. Thanks again for listening. Thanks for being part of the community, and we'll catch you in the next one.